Good Sunday afternoon, guys. Hey, I just want to go live a little bit and kind of tell you why I've changed my Facebook page. Not really changed it per se, but I'm trying to keep a lot of drama off of it, stay real positive with things. One thing I get asked a lot is, how do you, I enjoy, or not really ask, people often say they enjoy my positivity. And, really, I don't see that I'm all that positive. I really struggle with that. Honestly, I do take some medications for that. I've had so many surgeries and things like that I do struggle with depression. So I want to put that out there. So if you're struggling with depression, you're not alone. And by all means, if you ever need someone to talk to about depression, or anything like that. I am not a licensed therapist or anything like that, but sometimes if you just need somebody to talk to, give me a call. If you're watching this, you're obviously my Facebook friend. And if you're watching this, you're obviously curious about what this goofball's having to say. So, that being said, send me a PM or whatever. I've got some folks that do that on a regular basis. So, not only does it help, hopefully help you with what you're struggling with, maybe it helps me too to just kind of recalibrate and rethink and keep my mind off of things. Sorry, I got a message there from my brother-in-law in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Roll Tide. But one thing that I do that a lot of people don't do is, number one, the first thing I do every morning when I put my feet on the floor of the floor when I get out of bed. My cell phone is always turned off at night, so if you ever need me at night, you're kind of out of luck. So preempt that. As soon as my feet hit the ground, Danny Young, a friend of mine from Bridgestone, we go to church together. Danny runs our Celebrate Recovery program. Danny sends me a text every morning, in a group message, I guess. And it's kind of a daily devotional for people that struggle. I read that before I'd read anything, before I Facebook, before I read the paper, before I say hi to my wife or son or anything like that. I read that and I kind of meditated on a minute. Unfortunately, there's a lot of nights that I don't sleep well due to some of the surgeries I have. I have to get up multiple times in the middle of the night, and it takes me a long time to go back to sleep. So a lot of times, around the crack of noon, I get up. But that being said, the first thing I do is I read that devotional from Danny. The second thing that I do every single morning, period, is I use a app called Bible Gateway. Bible Gateway is a really awesome app. And you can actually sign up for it to send you the verse of the day. So the first two things I do is I read Danny's devotional and I read my Bible Gateway verse of the day. The second thing, or the third thing that I do a lot is I listen to motivational speakers on YouTube channels. You can go to YouTube and you can say motivational channel, motivational playlist. Now, here's the asterisk. Some of them cuss a lot. And on the ones that cuss a lot, I turn them off. I just go to the next channel, because some of these have 130, 140 channels, and they have some of these athletes, no offense to athletes, that are just so ripped up and pumped, and they're screaming how wonderful their life is, and they drop the F-bomb about every third sentence. So I just fast forward through those. So I try to keep positive and motivational stuff in my head all day. Deanna can tell you, Ethan can tell you, I probably drive Ethan nuts, but Deanna and Ethan can both tell you that I have it in my vehicle all the time. I have it on our YouTube, on our big TV with surround sound in our living room during the day, and a lot of times during the night. I watch very little TV, so it's funny when people ask me about the news and things like that. I usually don't know unless it's just something crazy. So that being said, I do a lot of motivational. One thing that really helped me kind of refocus when I started going through this was a friend of mine, retired U.S. Marine Corps, Phil Mitchell. Phil Mitchell works for our local fire department here. He's a really good guy. He don't want you to know he's a really good guy. So if you see him, say, hey, I heard you're a really good guy, Phil. Works at our local fire department. Great guy, but retired Marine. Phil gave a talk one time over leadership. Now, one thing that Phil's talk and all of this motivational stuff says is you've got to feed your brain. You have got to keep yourself on top. You've got to educate yourself continually. And I don't mean you've got to learn algebra. I don't mean we need to study psychology. I mean, it's easy. It is so easy for you to automatically get mad at someone. Your brain is programmed to do that. It's so easy for you to tell somebody else to do something that you don't want to do, have them do it. Your brain is programmed to automatically do that. It's easy to not like somebody. It's easy to get mad when you're driving. It's easy to get frustrated. Your brain is programmed for that. The big thing that a lot of people do now is in their leadership roles is they don't lead by example. They lead by, you go do this because I said so, instead of, hey, let's go do this. Up until I got sick, that's one thing I was very confident in, was that I was able to help people. If a family burned out and had a fundraiser, we would go. Cancer fundraisers, we would go. All my techs, one tech even told a guy one time we were picking up a copier. We were physically lifting the copier, and he laughed and told the guy where we were picking up from. He said, actually, Drew's supposed to be having open heart surgery today, but they canceled it. So, there's nothing that there is nothing that I would ask you to do that I was not willing to do. That being said, there's nothing that I wouldn't like more than to be able to do that again. But so that works against my mind, because I've always been the guy to jump in and help. I've always been the guy to be able to assist. And now I'm not that guy anymore per se. So I can't use my physical strength maybe anymore. I'm on a 5-pound weight restriction for life. A lot of y'all don't know that. But I've had so many surgeries that one of them was pretty major, and 5 pounds is it. So I can't lift copiers anymore. I can't lift laptops anymore. I can't... I can't feel these fingertips, just these tips. I can feel my hand, just not these fingertips. And I have double vision now due to some of the issues I've had. I had a TIA, which is basically a mini stroke during one of my heart surgeries, and that affected all that. But that's not poor pitiful me, and I will never be poor pitiful me. But let me tell you, get back to Phil Mitchell. Phil Mitchell did a leadership conference at our church. And when I say our church is pretty much open to anybody. We don't care. I wear shorts to church. It's one of those churches. We focus on Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ, period. So, we don't get caught up in denominations. And I'm not knocking any church that does. Hey, if you are Baptist, Church of Christ, Church of God, whatever, I love you, man. And you just keep doing what you're doing. This is not that conversation. But, anybody, anytime, any background is welcome at our church. So that being said, we had a leadership conference, and there is no one that I respect more than law enforcement, military, paramedics, nurses, and doctors, as far as those fields, and special education teachers and teachers in general, because those are all callings. You can't just decide, hey, I want to live this lifestyle because I think it's cool, because you will burn out and you will be so horribly sad with what you do. Hey, John Templeton, roll tide, baby. You will be so terribly sad with what you do. You have to find what you're here for. God put you here for a reason. We are all here. Long story short, I've been cut out of 2 cars. I've been airlifted twice. I've been shot at. I've been stabbed at. Actually, my wife shot me, whole other story, in front of our whole church, whole other story. I've had 19 surgeries since 2012. I've had hundreds of overnight stays in the hospital. I've had dozens of overnight stays in critical care. And, see, there's where your TIA comes in. And ICU. See, there it is. So, anyway, I am here for a reason. I used to work with Braxton Hunter very closely and Trinity Crusades for Christ. I was able to do youth events, in different states and different counties. I was able to do, I did a Future Business Leaders of America conference, their regional conference. So it wasn't just like, hey, you're at a high school, which that would have been fine too. I was able to do a See at the Pole event for West Tennessee, not just a high school See at the Pole event, but I've attended many See at the Pole events with Eddie Ware and Jeremy Cleaver and John Templeton and Chris Young here locally. I'm not knocking those. I think we have some great Christian leaders in our county. But let's get back to leadership. How do you feed your mind? What do you put into your head every day? You know, we have a struggle. We have a 19-year-old son, Ethan, with Asperger's syndrome. Ethan is one of these people that everybody loves, but he does not feel that everybody loves him a lot of days. Ethan, like any 19-year-old, and I mean like any 19-year-old, would rather play video games than do anything, and I get it. So that's why I think he hates me when I make him listen to all this stuff. So anyway, you've got to feed your brain. So, you know, get in the Word, get in some of these messages that are free on YouTube. Now, you need to pick and choose what works for you. You know, not all of it is going to be what you think, and some of it, they're just trying to sell you crap, so you got to figure that out too. But Phil Mitchell came up about leadership, and there was one book in particular that he told me to read, and I'm going to grab that book right here, if I can get my hand on it, because these fingers work against me. It's by Governor Zell Miller. Yes, I know it's backwards. It's a huge book, hugely thick. It's called Core Values. That's CORPS Values. I read the entire book I think in 2 days. It is a great book. It's called Everything You Need to Know and Learned in the Marine Corps. Zell Miller was the governor of Georgia, and he says everything he ever needed to learn, he learned in boot camp, basically. So I respect that. You know, the Marines do a great job, but all boot camps are designed to break you down so they can build you up. And most people don't know when they hit rock bottom, but most people don't know when they hit the top either, because they will get near rock bottom and not recognize it. They'll sit there and wait. They'll wait on God. They'll wait on somebody else to help them. They'll wait for whatever. But if you sit there on the couch and wait, nothing's going to happen, except you're going to get fatter and look like me. So anyway, don't sit and wait. Give whatever your issue is to God, but God's going to want you to meet him halfway. God's going to want you to make the first step, but don't sit there and wait. Feed your brain with some positivity to get you out of that funk. We all get knocked down. Life is not fair. Life is not meant to be fair. Life will never be fair, but we got to be able to get back up. We got to be able to do, I am better than this. We've got to be able to do what we do, how we do it, because God put us here for a reason. That is a simple fact. That is a simple fact. We are all here to do one job for God. We are all here to do one job for our family. We are all here to be successful, and I'm not preaching that you should just say, oh, well, I'm here to be a millionaire. That is not what I mean. I'm not saying that we're all meant to be millionaires. I'm saying we are here to do something for God. We are here to do something for our community. We are here to do something for each other. But we have to find out what that is, and what that is going to be different for everybody. Because most people don't know what success is, because they don't even try to fail. They don't see the vision of what the future is. They see what it is right now. They try to worry about what they can fix right now. They don't worry about, hey, if I do this right now, what's the result 30 days from now? What's the result 90 days from now? What's the result 180 days from now? What's the result a year from now, 5 years, 10 years? What? They don't look at that. They go, just get me through this day. Just get me through this day does not work. Just get me through this day has you where you are. Just get me through this day, and accepting whatever is thrown at you does not knock it out of the park. You have done everything you have done to get you where you are right now. But see, the cool thing about right now is it ended a second ago. My mom used to have a little bitty blue magnet on her refrigerator, hand painted. She got it at a craft fair, probably Birchburg Craft Fair. It said, each day is a new beginning. I challenge you with that. Each day is a new beginning. Each minute is a new minute. Each second is a new second. You can start over. Do I get down? Sure I do. I had a friend, and I'm not going to go into much detail, but sent me a message through Facebook. She said, hey, Drew, did you have a bag? And I was like, yeah. Now, for those of you that don't know what a bag is, it's a colostomy bag. I had a colostomy bag for a while. Had it for 5 months. It's not fun, but it's not horrible either. So she said, did you have a bag? And I said, sure, I had a bag. She said, how long did you have to wear it? So I said, 5, 6 months, whatever. So I just asked her, I said, do you have a bag? Is there something I need to know? I said, I'll be glad to talk to you about it. She said, yes, and I'm suicidal. And that took me back to the exact moment when I woke up. I was so stupid, I didn't even know where a colostomy bag was. I literally woke up feeling, and I felt the bag, and I was in critical care at St. Thomas. My colon had, my sigmoid colon had completely blown, and I had filled up for, my abdominal cavity had basically filled up with fecal matter for 3 days, maybe 4. Insert joke here, obnoxious friends of mine, I'll take it. Nothing I hadn't heard before. So they had to physically slice me open. I was septicemic. But they had to slice me open, they had to take all my organs out, clean my cavity by hand, clean all my organs by hand, put them back in by hand. And I woke up with a bag and 36 staples and a really nice looking scar that was open. So I remember thinking I'd never changed Ethan's diaper maybe 2 or 3 times because I used to be on the road when he was little, so I didn't have that opportunity. I'm the kind of guy that if you throw up, I throw up, and now I'm going, okay, now all my fecal matter is going to be in a bag every day, and I'm going to have to change it myself. And I just don't know if I can handle that. And I remember thinking for about 2 weeks that, and I'm sharing this with you, that if I could get to a gun, I'd shoot myself. So when she sent me that message and said, I'm suicidal, I knew exactly what she meant. I knew exactly where she was coming from. I knew exactly the pain and the struggles and all that. I knew. So I sent her a message. I said, do not think that this is going to pass. You're going to get through it. I'm here if you need me. Call me. Call me, call me, call me. I begged her to call me. So she called me, we talked, and we felt a little better. So that being said, excuse me, pardon me, this is real, this is live, can't help it. So that being said, she calls, and we talked, and we went through it, and I told her what to expect, kind of like pregnant women, what to expect when you're expecting. I'm like, what to expect when you have a colostomy bag. So, we talked, and every now and then she'll post a Facebook post where she's down, and I completely understand it. So I send her a message. And I send her a message, just a reminder that I'm here. Because there are bad days. There are things that happen. The worst thing when you have a colostomy bag, I'll tell you, is sometimes those things, the seals break. And you can't control where you are. And when the seal breaks, it's a mess. I'll just be honest with you. When I had mine, I always carried a backpack because my eyes are on fire. I've got allergies. Because I kept a change of clothes in it. I kept everything to clean completely up. And that did happen. Me and Ethan, bless his heart, were on the side of I-24 one day. And I was doing a complete clothing change on the side of the road and cleaning up with wet wipes. And he never hesitated to help. That's awesome. So anyway, there is nothing that you cannot get through if you look at the big picture. A few months ago, I have an anemia problem now, probably because I've had so many surgeries. We think it's fixed from the last report, but I'll know more in June. But anyway, so I had to take blood infusions or iron infusions. I'm sorry. Do you know where you take an iron infusion? Do you know who your doctor is when you have anemia? Your doctor's an oncologist. So when you take an iron infusion, you sit in the same room with all the chemo folks. And there's nothing like sitting in a room with full of people taking chemo. Some of them have hope, some of them don't. I talked to a young lady who had been going through chemo for 4 years. And looking at her, you would never know anything. So her and I had a lot of great conversations, and she gave me hope. But I get hope from these videos. I get hope from these books. I get hope from people like you who send me private messages. I have been close to death more than most, especially here lately. So I have to think about things different. Everybody should think about things different. We are not guaranteed. We are not guaranteed anything. I mean, I tell my son all the time when he's driving, I'm like, You always have to be careful of not only what you're doing, but the person coming up beside you, the person behind you, the person in the other lane. Even if it's a 4-lane, and they can cross that median in a split second and get you. You know, we're not guaranteed anything. We have I have probably the greatest heart doctors on the planet, but I still have heart problems. I have great surgeons. I have great medical friends. I have great nurses. I have great friends in law enforcement and the military. I have great friends that helped Ethan through his grammar school and middle school, and Sylvan Prep Academy was a great opportunity for Ethan. But with all that greatness, it's still up to us. It's still up to us. I pray every night that people that I don't like, that I will like them more. I pray every night people that I don't like to be around, that I will tolerate them better. And guess what? I know there are people that don't like to be around me. I'm not for everybody. I get it. But I'm here for you. If you're going through something and you don't want anybody to know, let me tell you, the worst thing you can do is not let anybody know. On the other hand, I tell people all the time that the sickness is harder on the family, usually, than it is on the sick person. So, I've seen both sides. I've seen how it puts what it puts my wife through. I've seen what it puts my mom and dad, stepmom and sister and son and friends through. Used to, for years, people would see me at the store or in town or at cruising the strip or whatever. Hey man, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And now it's the, hey man, how you feeling? Hey, you're on our prayer list. Hey, just let you know I'm praying for you. And as awesome as that is, because it's awesome, I promise you it's awesome. I appreciate it. My nose. My nose. As awesome as that is, I appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. I can't tell you how much, because I believe in prayer. I believe prayer works. I believe positive vibes work. I believe it works, because I think all you positive vibe people are really praying. You just don't know it. So I appreciate it. But I don't like to be greeted with that every day. I know people are concerned, but I don't like to be reminded of it every day. I know people love me, and they hug me, or they shake my hand, or they give me the fist bump, or whatever, but there's a difference in the happy one and the how are you one. So I'm constantly reminded. So I've got to constantly feed my brain to go, you're better than this. You're going to get through this. We're all going to get through this. And your problem is not my problem. Your issue is not the same issue that I have. It's just not. We're all going to, we can all have AFib. We can all have PVCs. We can all have diverticulitis for the first time ever and nearly die from it. We can all have anemia. We can all be devastatingly handsome, but it's different for all of us. My struggle is my struggle, and I am responsible to get through my struggle. I am responsible for making the first step. I am responsible for responding to people I need to respond to. I am responsible for the things that I can control. But I am not responsible for the things I cannot control. And the things I cannot control, I give to God. And I walk away. I used to teach a class and talk about the armor of God. And if you think about the armor of God, talks about the helmet and the chest plate and the shin guards and blah, 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 the sword, blah, blah, blah. Guess what it doesn't talk about? The armor of God never, ever, ever talks about a back plate. Never. Not one time. So think about this. Why do you not have protection on your back if you're wearing the armor of God? God's got your back. God's wanting you to fight. God's wanting you to move forward. That's why all the protection is on your front. Move forward. He's got your back. Don't look back. He's got your back. That thought, that still small voice in your head, your conscience, whatever you want to call it, I personally think that's the Holy Spirit. I think that's a messenger. I think if it says don't do something, you don't do it. I think if it says, hey, go for it, you go for it. And I think sometimes you might not be ready right now. But prepare yourself to be ready. I'm going to close with this because I probably wasted a bunch of your time. But here's the thing. If you go to my Facebook page right now, and I'm not pushing you to go to my Facebook page, but if you go to my Facebook page, I hope you see a marked difference in the last week and a half. I hope you see that there are things on there that are more positive. And if I see something on your page, I may steal it and share it. But if I steal it and share it, I'm at least going to give you acknowledgement. And if I steal something from somebody else, I want to do my best to acknowledge them if I can find them. But I've got 3 tattoos, and I'm gonna leave you with this. I've got 3 tattoos. I know I look like the tattoo guy. I am the tattoo guy. You know, I'm a big burly biker tattoo guy. Another story. I got a tattoo back in 2014 on this side of my chest. It actually says AFib because the doctors wanted me to get a medical ID bracelet because I was literally in atrial fibrillation multiple times a day. And they were afraid I'd lose consciousness, and they were afraid the paramedics, EMTs, first responders, whatever, might not know that I was actually unconscious because of my heart rhythm, because I would go back into sinus, but I still might be unconscious. So I got that medical tattoo. The second tattoo I ever got was this one. Now you can't really see it, but I'm going to get close, and it's backwards. But if you look, it says D-N-D, completely backwards, okay, D-N-D. That is Drew and Deanna. Deanna's my wife. So I got that for our 25th anniversary. If you're getting married, I highly recommend you do not get a tattoo. If you've been married a couple of years, I recommend you do not get a tattoo. If you've been married, whatever, 25 years, I waited. Third tattoo I got on this side of my chest. It's a bear. It's a Celtic bear. It's clawing and growling and a mean-looking bear. And on the top half of that bear, it says, I fight. And on the bottom half of that bear, it says, because I must. Because every day you've got to fight. I don't care if you're perfectly healthy. I never was sick until 2012. It was Memorial Day weekend. I was sitting on my pontoon boat at Center Hill Lake, and all of a sudden I could not breathe. Everything started spinning. I did not know. And since that time, I've had 19 surgeries. But the reason I got the I fight because I must is because I fight. I've got a thing on my Facebook page. I think it's called your banner, your header, whatever. It says I fight. I fight because I'm better than I was yesterday. I fight because my family matters. I fight for my wife and son. I fight because my community needs me. I fight because my church needs me. I fight because someone needs to hear my story. I fight because God is bigger. And I fight because I must. No matter how big of a fish or how small of a fish you are in your pond, your community still needs you. No matter how active you are in your church, get active because your church does need you. Your family needs you, so be there as much as you can. Now sometimes work's going to take you away, and that's understandable. But your family, be there when you're there. But fight, and always fight. And if you ever don't feel like fighting, call me. Send me a message, and we'll fight together. That's all I've got to say. I don't know if I'll do another one of these. And really, I appreciate y'all. So if you need me, I'm here. I love you, and keep fighting.